Hey everybody, welcome to Throwback Thursday GMG Review. Today we're taking a look at Codexes. These lovely things we've all come to know and love through Warhammer 40,000. And these are their progenitors, the Codexes of Warhammer 40k 2nd edition. Now why are we looking at these today? Well, we're going through, Chris and I, this series of basically like 40k through the ages. We started with Rogue Trader, we're on a 2nd edition. If you watched our first 2nd edition battle report, I reviewed the books in the box set itself, the initial release of the game. And now we're going to talk about Codexes, because this was a big innovation for Warhammer 40,000, taken from what was being done at the time in Warhammer Fantasy Battle with army books. It basically codified the rules for an army in one place, what was previously spread across White Dwarf magazine, and then typically compiled in like annuals, like the Companion, the Book of the Astronomicon, now had its own army book. Now there's 9 of these released through the life of Warhammer 40,000 2nd edition. Fully, of course, 3 of them were Space Marines. And of the non-Imperial factions, 2 factions kind of got left by the wayside. And the rest kind of got very cool looking books. Now the first of these released was actually Codex Space Wolves, and the reason for that was the Space Wolf Codex was almost already done. It had been published in White Dwarf 157 in almost the same sort of format as was here, and they were also the newest miniatures at the time. It was swiftly followed by Codexes for other armies, including Codex Ultramarines, which was kind of the generic Space Marine Codex, which came out eventually, and then of course Codex Angels of Death, which combined the Blood Angels and the Dark Angels into a single book of lovely painted miniatures. So the other factions, of course, 2 of the army lists in the Codex army list, which was what everyone else was playing off of at the time. So if you didn't have a Codex, you were playing out of this right here, which came in the box set and gave you army lists for the other armies. There is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 armies here. 2 of them got combined. The Tyranid Codex actually combined the Genestealer army list and the Genestealer Cult army list and the Tyranid army list. If you look at the back, there's a Genestealer Cult army list, basically as its own kind of addendum in here. So the main Tyranid army list is part of it, and then the Genestealer Cult army list comes into here. But one army in particular just didn't get a Codex, and that was the Squats. Yes, this is the famous period in which the now verb, I guess, used by people called squatted comes to place, and a army that didn't exist got the final Codex of the edition, which was the Sisters of Battle Codex. It was released in '97. I actually got to see a preview copy of it, the '97 Grand Tournament. Jervis Johnson came over for that, and I think I might have. It was a prize. I don't remember if I ordered the box for that came in or if I got it as a prize at that tournament. But anyway. It was the final Codex and also the final release for the edition. So we're going to focus on these 2 today, Orcs and Angels of Death, because it's what you're going to see in the game, and sort of what made these different. So the core army list in here, particularly for the Space Marines, focused on generic Space Marines. And until the Ultramarines Codex came out, it just kind of had your basics. All the character types, you had your Veteran Sergeants, Terminators, Tactical Marines, Assault Marines, Devastators, and Scouts. Angels of Death added the crazy new stuff like Death Company. Now it was structured in the same way as the 2nd edition rulebook. So you basically had in here a Codex Imperialis and a Codex Army List section. So the front half mimicked the Codex Imperialis, where you had like the story and stats for things, and it reprinted some stuff. So like Space Marines got reprinted, but you also got stuff on Librarians, new types of chaplains, like the Interrogator Chaplain, but they put regular chaplains in here too, because of course they were required for the Blood Angels. Scouts using the cool old Scout outwork because they hadn't made the new Scout models yet. And then Death Company, Ravenwing, and Deathwing, which of course were particular to this book. The Death Company had some cool rules. Basically, they had an extra wound. It's literally called extra wound. They could take 2 wounds over the course of the game, but if they took 1, they counted as dead for VP and mission purposes. They never make leadership tests, psychology. They all have frenzy, which means they have to charge. And then, which I think I forget about during our game, because it means they have twice as many attacks until they lose combat. And then the chaplain, who if they don't have like lead the squad, you have to buy one to take Death Company, and if he dies and doesn't lead the squad anymore, they turn into individual units of 1 and start frenzy charging and rampaging across the battlefield. You have your Ravenwing, which had Expert Riders and Jink, which was initial minus to hit. Deathwing, where they're immune to psychology, even though they were just regular Terminators other than that. And then new rules for Dreadnoughts, because the new Dreadnought miniature had just come out and people were excited about it, and also new rules for the Whirlwind, which actually wasn't included in the core box set and didn't come out until the Dark Millennium expansion. And there they are, my subsequent, my special chapter, the Flesh Terrors. They are well-deserved reputation for savagery. In battle, it said that at times the entire chapter is consumed by wailing bloodlust. The Flesh Terrors appear to revel in their notoriety. So this is what I painted my guys up as, and this is the color scheme I took. Now I used the darker maroon, and I even used this color scheme versus the Rogue Trader one, although I did use the Rogue Trader icon for my army versus the new, my second edition one updates to this basically. Chapter organization, some beautiful painted miniatures here. Look at this, what a great variety. So if you're looking at this, this is basically the box set of Devastators. You had the box set came with one of each heavy weapon, but they've done 2 plasma cannons and 2 heavy bolters. There's your sergeant, there's your squad leader for when you cut the squad in half. This guy takes the other half. And then there's 2 box set Marines, and these are all Strike Force Marines, which is the plastics that were posable that came out before the box set did. The Dark Angels Tactical Squad, which was a separate squad with a las cannon and a plasma gun. And then the beautiful Assault Squad, still one of my favorite miniatures, I think, of second edition is this box set, because they have the chest straps on them. In previous editions of 40K, you just plugged a backpack on these guys and made Assault Marines, but these ones actually had like the straps to hold them on. Deathwing Terminators, this was the final Terminator release of Rogue Trader, this box set. And then all the cool new special characters that were sculpted for this release. We had Ezekiel, the Grandmaster Librarians, Asmodai, and then a miniature still in use today, Supreme Commander of the Dark Angels, or Supreme Grandmaster, Commander Azrael. So that miniature is still around and still being used. Brother Bethor, all the new Jez Goodwin Librarians. And there's the new Dreadnought, finally a new Dreadnought, and Razorbacks. And the Blood Angels, you can see I made some of these spiky trees. I gotta make some more terrain like this. And what was new in there for them? Some codification of their squad. So helmet color becomes a thing for Blood Angels in this book, where they've got their blue. Actually, I think it becomes a thing in late Rogue Trader. But the blue for Devastators, the gold for Assault Marines, and then the standard red for the Tactical Marines. And then some of the cool new miniatures. So once again, Battle Standard Bearer, the lovely new Jez Goodwin Chaplains and Apothecaries. The new Captain Tycho. So as opposed to the just Blood Angel Commander with a bolter, he got his Death Mask and some special rules. Terminators, these were the standard Terminators that were coming out at the time. And the Death Company, I painted these up for this game because they are such cool miniatures. And this is one of the greatest chapel models of all time. New Tech Marine miniatures, Dante, Mephiston, and Corbulo. And the new Land Speeder, and of course the Furioso Dread, which is the not a Furioso Dread, but the Dreadnought called Furioso. The Furibundus, and a Rhino. Special war gear cards for the special characters, because you could actually customize special characters at this point in the game. You can give them their own like little tweaks and stuff, but some came with stuff. So like the Inferno Pistol was for Dante only. The Death Mask of Sanguinius as well, and the Red Grail just for Corbulo. The Lion Helm just for a Dark Angel Supreme Grandmaster. I like that they future-proofed it in case Azrael were to die in the background at some point. They need to do a new one. And then you got your Ravenwing Land Speeder Datafaxes and one for the Whirlwind as well. And then your army lists. And these followed the same format as the Codex army lists, but included all the units. So Master of the Deathwing, Master of the Ravenwing, and Dark Angels. And then you could actually mount this character in a Ravenwing Land Speeder for 120 points. And it counts as their gunner. So you had a Blitzskill 7 gunner for your Ravenwing Land Speeder, which was an absolute death sentence because most of the time when a vehicle died, the guy in it died. You would never put your character in a maybe on a bike, but even then, a bike was a death sentence. In second edition, if you rode something, typically if the thing died, it just said, "And the rider is killed." Like they didn't just get off. You would literally never take a Land Speeder character. And then your squads, your Ravenwing squads on bikes, which again, were not great at the time. They were just kind of thematic. And then everybody got their own like page. There's Azrael, Ezekiel. We used to call him Ezekiel because he didn't have a field. You couldn't give him any kind of fields. It's like Mastery Level 4. It was because his war gear cards were fixed. He had to have these 2 war gear cards. Oh, actually, but at 8-up 1, yeah, it was free, the Book of Salvation, and a Force Sword. But he could have 4 war gear cards, sorry, and these will always be his Force Sword, Sayakud, Binakai, and Book of Salvation. That's right, his war gear slots were always full. I think Asmodees were also full. These will always be the Sword of Secrets, Lion Helm, and his combi weapon. Yeah, so he's always got 3. He's always got 4. Bethor will always carry a Sacred Standard. Saffron, because there was the Master of Chaplains, and Asmodee, because this is before Asmodee becomes the Master of Chaplains. He's actually just a baby chaplain at the time. But yeah, so Saffron, as a mighty hero, Saffron can carry 3 items of war gear, which can be chosen in a normal manner. And then the same with Asmodee. He carries 2. One will be the Blade of Reason, the other can be chosen in a normal manner. And the Blood Angels, with their more sort of like generic army list, except for the Death Company. And this is what I'm playing off of today. All their support stuff. And then their special characters, so Commander Dante. He can have 3 war gear cards. These will always be the Death Mask of Sanguinius, an Inferno Pistol, and a Conversion Field. In addition, he's equipped with a jump pack, but it does not count as a war gear card. We gave him extra stuff. Veteran Sergeant Cluton, Guardian of the Shroud of Sanguinius. This guy shows up in a comic book series later, who's amazing. And he has always had 1 war gear card, which is the Shroud of Sanguinius. And then Mephiston, he always has his Psychic Hood, although in his case, it's a high collar, his 4-sword Mastercrafted Plasma Pistol, and a Refractor Field. Corbulo, who always gets his Red Grail, and then 1 over war gear card. And then Commander Tycho, who's always going to have combi weapon and digilators, and then 1 extra card that you can choose in a normal manner. And that's it. And then look, you can see that this is actually printed at a time when these were the books released. So Space Wolves had already come out, Eldar, Orcs, Ultramarines, Tyranids, and Imperial Guard. So it was this book. The Chaos Codex hadn't come out yet because that was a late series codex. And then the final one was, whatchamacallit, the Sister Battle. So these were what were released at the time that we're playing this. And then one of my favorite things about these codex, they give you a catalog section. So you'd actually see all the miniatures available at the time. And this helped me immensely deciding what was and wasn't a period miniature. Like I thought for sure the Terminator Chaplain was actually a 3rd edition miniature. No, he was out in 2nd, same with the Librarian. So I was okay with like building and painting him. But I tried to vet all my miniatures, like my epistolary, by making sure they were in this box, or in this book at the back. And it helped a ton. There's my Captain, there's all my Death Company, my Death Company Chaplain. And I actually vetoed my Apothecary because I realized he wasn't one of these 2. And these were the ones that actually I had available to me. So I didn't paint my Apothecary. But I could paint my Tech Marine because he's this one right here. I had such a sigh of relief. I really want to find one of these servitors so I can use my Tarantula later on. And the Assault Squads, all the armor through the ages, including the Strike Force Marines. Now, they actually carved their shoulders off, these Marines originally. And this guy in the Aaron armor actually had arms attached to him originally, too, which is super weird. There was a lot of variants of those. Land Speeder, I have one of these I have to paint, actually. And this guy, I'm looking for this arm, the Power Fist arm right now. I have the Multi-Melta. I need another one of these chest plates, too, if I can find one. Or even that sarcophagus right there, because I have most of it on the Dreadnought. And I want to make the Furiosa Dreadnought, too, for 3rd edition with the double close combat arms. Razorback bits. Predator bits at the time, look at that, it's the original Predator sprue, and then a big color section using all the new miniatures, and that's it. And then the Orc Codex, now this basically allowed you to play with everything from Irigo, but it started to strip out certain things. So there was some new stuff. It was fully compatible for the most part with the Road Trader stuff, although it did phase out most of the fantasy battle stuff, so like you couldn't really have like Gretchen with sword and shield anymore, you know what I mean, or orcs with arrows, orcs with bows. But it did codify things like the Smasher Gun, the Squid Catapult came back, the Tractor Cannon was new, and the Pulsar Rockets. You got a lot of new artillery, which was neat. You got a lot of new war gear cards. You got things like the Shock Attack Gun, which was new. Custom combi weapons and blunderbusses, which automatically hit. And then your core rules for everything. Again, later, just like the Codex Imperialis. And actually copying a lot of the information from the Codex Imperialis. You still have Ogryns and Orc Boar Boys, Blood Axe Commandos and Storm Boys, and the miniatures were all new. But you had some new characters, and my favorite page, the Orc Banners page, so you could get Gazgul's banner and paint it for yourself. So there's Gazgul Thraka and Makari in his OG-like status, and then Zogrod Wartsnagger, the Renegade Bruntmaster. Back once again with the Renegade Bruntmaster, trying to say that too many times. And then all new Blood Axes, look at them, and they have their like SAS suits. So cool. And they're like watch caps and stuff. And then the older Blood Axes here. The Storm Boys and their not incredibly problematic Pickelhauben. Evil Sons. tractor cannons, and some snake bites. Actually, where's the snake bite? No, there's no snake bite there yet. I thought that was a guy with a headbutt. The Goths in their crazy horn helmets. And some cool freebooters. Look at this guy, he's got a monocle. He's my favorite. And this guy's got a squig hat, so the hat actually has a face and a horn. He's wearing a squig as a hat. Orc dreads. There's the snake bites, again problematic. Snake bites and their death skulls. And they didn't get a lot of play, the death skulls, because they were just like weird low techs. And then all your warrior cards. This is the Buzzer Squig template, which we need to photocopy because Buzzer Squig bombs were still a thing. Chris threw one at me in Rogue Trader. And the army list. War gear lists. And you can see everything was once again divided up by mob type. So blood axes were separate from bad moons, separate from starboys, and it kind of changed what you had available to you. Freebooter pirates. Ogre and mobs still as allies, so there wasn't a freebooter section anymore. They actually restructured it to just characters, mob, support, and some of the freebooter stuff went into support. So you're still have Ogrins, and they can still be fantasy ogres with like axes and clubs. They just were a support choice now. The Dread's still in here. Pulsar rockets, smasher guns, splatter cannons, squig catapults, and tractor cannons. Your battle wagon was only 50 points. War buggies, war tracks, and scorches. A war bike and a knobs bike. And then your special characters. Nazdreg Ugrub. He actually got a miniature later on, which is pretty cool. He was the other sort of like Gazgul. He was the mega armor Gazgul. And then Captain Flashkit Badrock, Mad Dog Grotznik, Gazgul himself, Mighty Goth Warlord and leader of the Wa. He was 135 points, plus 30 for his custom blaster, plus 15 for his adamantium skull. He could still have one extra war gear card. And he can be given additional equipment chosen from the armor, assault, special weapons, transport, stick bombs, and war gear list. So you can still convert your special characters, which is a neat thing for the time. And then Makari, whose special rule was the main reason Makari's longevity is his quite extraordinary good luck. The number of times that bolter shells have been deflected by metals, grenades landing at his feet have proved to be duds, or attacks have slipped on a patch of oil is legendary. His good luck's represented by a special saving throw of 2+ on d6, which is never modified for any reason, and which he gets against any and all damage he suffers for whatever reason. Makari was the 2+ unkillable grot, which is amazing. Zogrod, Wazdeka Gutsmech on his bike. And then you got the literal alphabet. And again, some of these are a bit crazy. Like Uman has its own glyph. Stunty has its own glyph. Stud, Bionic Bit or Cybernetics. Arc Tactics. And then a full catalog section again for collecting and vetting your miniatures to make sure that you had the right ones. There's the new Dread versus Chris's old Dread, which was from his Rogue Trader collection. You can see it's a bit boxier. And this is the time when you need plastic arms. So it's actually a bit harder to collect Orcs from this period. Gretchen are okay, but Orcs from this period, you need to have these arm frames to equip most of them. So if you find them now and you can't find the frames, it's actually really hard to make your miniatures kind of like without either trying to salvage the ones that you can find or you know, trying to like scavenge basically for additional arm sprues and stuff like that. Beautiful color section. Again, Chris really wants to make some of these adobe huts, right? And like towers and stuff because they're very iconic for the time. And that's it. A look at Codex, Angels of Death, and Codex Orcs, and just the Codex process in general. I didn't dig them all out because I would have a stack of 9 books here otherwise, and how they grew out of Codex Army List. Now, it did change the game immensely and really set the stage for the next 20 years of releases. I mean, 98 October is when 3rd edition comes out, and at that point, we're expecting codexes for the game, and they do a reset a lot like this. But we'll talk about that in 2 more episodes as we start to work towards 3rd edition, and the second of the great resets. This was the first of the great resets in Warhammer 40,000, but it wasn't that big a reset because the stat lines are still fairly similar, and the core gameplay was exactly the same as what was in the battle book, the Rogue Trader battle book. So the next really hard reset happens in October 1998, and we'll showcase that after we come through and finish our series on 2nd edition 40K. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more Throwback Thursday reviews in the future. Till I'm Ash. Have a good night. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.